7 times in the Gospel of John, Jesus says, I am, and then finishes the sentence. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the true vine. 7 statements, beautiful, memorable, quotable. You've probably heard a sermon on every one of them. But there is an 8th kind of I am in the same gospel. And it doesn't finish the sentence. Jesus just says the 2 words and stops. The first time he does it, the crowd picks up stones. The second time, in a garden at night, an armed arrest party takes a step backward and falls to the ground. Nobody picks up rocks over a metaphor about bread. Something else is happening in those 2 words, something the Greek shows and most English translations quietly smooth over. Quick note before we go on. If you've ever read a verse your whole life and wondered what's underneath the English, that's every video on this channel. 1 verse, 1 word, what it actually says. Subscribing means you won't miss the next one. Now, the 7. Start with what the famous 7 are actually doing, because they are not random poetry. Each one lands on something the audience was already thinking about. I am the bread of life, spoken the day after he fed 5,000 people to a crowd that came back looking for another free meal, and who had just brought up the manna in the wilderness. He answers, the manna kept your ancestors alive for a day. I am what they were pointing at. I am the light of the world, spoken, most likely, during the Feast of Tabernacles, when enormous lamps were lit in the temple courts to commemorate the pillar of fire that led Israel through the desert. He says it standing in that light. I am the door, and I am the good shepherd. Spoken to people who knew sheepfolds. A shepherd would lie down across the entrance at night. His body was the door. I am the resurrection and the life. Spoken to a grieving woman 4 days after her brother's funeral while standing outside the tomb. Martha says, I know he'll rise at the last day. Jesus doesn't correct the doctrine, he relocates it. Not a date on a calendar, a person standing in front of her. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Spoken hours before his arrest to men who had just been told he was leaving. I am the true vine. The vine was the symbol of Israel itself, carved on the temple gate. Israel had been called God's vine by the prophets, usually while being told the vine had failed to bear fruit. So the 7 are not abstractions. Every one of them steps into an existing story. Manna, the pillar of fire, the shepherd, the vine, and says, that thing you've been remembering? It was pointing here. But all 7 have something in common structurally. Each one has a predicate: bread, light, door, shepherd, resurrection, way, vine. Something completes the sentence, which is exactly what makes the other kind so strange. To see it, you have to go back roughly 1,400 years to a man standing barefoot in front of a bush that is burning without burning up. Moses has just been told to go back to Egypt, the country he fled as a fugitive, and demand the release of an enslaved nation. And he asks the obvious question. When they ask me who sent me, what do I say? What's your name? And God answers in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, usually translated, I am who I am, or just as defensively, I will be what I will be. Then God says, tell them I am has sent you. Understand how strange this is. Every other god in the ancient world had a name that placed it in a category, a god of storms, of fertility, of a particular city or nation, a name you could file, Here the answer refuses the category entirely. The name is the verb to be, not a god of something, being itself, the one who simply is. And when Jewish scholars translated that verse into Greek in the Septuagint, they rendered it ego eimi hoon. I am the one who is. That phrase, ego eimi, is the same phrase that shows up in John's Gospel, and there's a grammatical detail that matters enormously. In Greek, you don't need the pronoun. The verb ending already tells you who's speaking. Saying eimi alone is enough for I am. Adding ego in front of it is not required. It's emphatic. It's the difference between I'm going and I am going. John uses this emphatic form 24 times, and of those, 7 are the kind we're talking about. No predicate, no completion, just I am. John chapter 8. Jesus is in a heated argument in the temple courts, and the subject is Abraham, the father of the nation, dead for roughly 2,000 years. They challenge him. You're not even 50 years old. Have you seen Abraham? And Jesus answers, Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Listen to the grammar break. If he only meant, I existed before Abraham, the natural sentence is, before Abraham was, I was. Past tense. Instead, he shifts into the present, and the verse deliberately contrasts 2 different verbs, one for Abraham, meaning to come into existence, to be born, and one for himself, meaning simply to be. Abraham became, I am. And the very next sentence in the text tells you exactly how the crowd understood it. Not a debate, not a follow-up question. So they picked up stones to throw at him. That reaction is the interpretation. Under Jewish law, stoning was the penalty for blasphemy. Nobody reaches for a rock because a rabbi made a confusing statement about chronology. They reached for rocks because they believed he had just placed himself inside the divine name. Now, I want to be straightforward with you here, because this is a genuinely contested passage. Most scholars across the Christian tradition read John 8:58 as a deliberate echo of Exodus 3:14, the crowd's reaction being the strongest evidence. Others argue the connection is looser, that the more direct background is Isaiah, where God repeatedly says, I am He, Ani Hu, in Hebrew, rendered with the same Greek phrase, in passages insisting there is no other God beside Him. And some groups read the phrase as ordinary self-identification, pointing out that other people in the New Testament say ego eimi in mundane contexts. Those are real positions held by serious people, and I'd rather you know the debate exists than pretend it doesn't. What almost nobody disputes is the narrative fact. Whatever the crowd heard, they treated it as a capital offense. Which brings us to the second time it happens, and this scene is even stranger. John chapter 18. Night, in a garden across the Kidron Valley, a detachment of soldiers and temple officers arrives with lanterns, torches, and weapons. Jesus asks, Who are you looking for? They answer, Jesus of Nazareth. And he says, Ego eimi. In most English Bibles, I am He. The word He is added by translators. It isn't in the Greek. And John records what happens next in a single, almost throwaway line. When Jesus said to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. An armed arrest party, at night, outnumbering him overwhelmingly, and they go down. Notice what happens after. Nobody is hurt. He asks the question again, gets the same answer. and then negotiates for his disciples. If you're looking for me, let these men go. He wasn't demonstrating that they couldn't arrest him. He was demonstrating that they couldn't arrest him unless he allowed it. 2 words in a dark garden, and the arrest only proceeds by permission. So, here is the shape of it. 7 times, I am is followed by something. Bread, light, door, shepherd, resurrection, way, vine. 7 pictures of what he does for people who are hungry, lost, grieving, or afraid. And then there are the times it isn't followed by anything at all, where the sentence just stops. And in those moments, people either reach for stones or they fall down. The 7 statements tell you what he gives. The unfinished ones tell you who is doing the giving. And the last thing worth noticing, the same voice that answered from a bush that would not burn up, refusing to be filed under any category, naming itself simply as the one who is the voice that finishes the sentence 7 times over in John. I am the bread, I am the light, I am the shepherd, I am the resurrection. The name that refused to be a category became a doorway.